Greetings, minions, deadites, and fellow gamers. This is Silverblade playing Night of the Dead, episode 56. Today we're just going to be mining some copper, getting some from cars, whatever. We need copper because I kind of want to do an extension of what I did last week when I described ore gates, such as these here. And now, before I do, I just want to clarify that I used OR gates because essentially this or this puts out power. Well, I have these in pairs, so let me get this up here. Alright, as you can see, I got two. So if one of these turbines breaks down, and they're apt to do that every now and then, the power light goes out, and if it was an AND gate, which is this one plus this one equals that one, which means a yes means that's yes, but if it's yes and that one's burnt out, then there's no power at all. This way, the power coming from this turbine into here, and say this turbine broke down, there would be power to this but not power to this. It would not go through in an AND gate. With an OR gate, it's this or this. Having power going through this or this means it'll allow it through. But I'm going to get into an even more complicated type of logic gate. In the meantime, just kind of got to get some copper. And while I'm doing that, kind of explaining some stuff. Now, back in 1994, 95, I was a senior in high school. And because I had more credits than I needed to graduate, I think I only needed one, and that was for a required class, English, AP English. So the rest of my school day, I could do whatever I wanted. So I decided I'm going to go take electronics at the vocational school for 3 hours for both semesters of my senior year. And then I ended up coming back to the school that I graduated from, Eastern, and had my lunch. Oh boy. And then I had my English class, and then I became a teacher's assistant for girls phys ed. Needless to say, I was the envy of a lot of people because, you know, only guy in a class full of girls. Yay! Clubbed you like a baby seal. Get back here. Wait your turn. There we go. Explodey head! Alright, took care of business. As I was saying, you know, I took English electronics in the morning for 3 hours, came back to Eastern, took my AP English class, and then teacher's assistant for girls phys ed. Giggity. Now, I had 1 extra hour before the bus would come take me home, so oftentimes I would stay around for the next hour of girls phys ed. I didn't get credit for that, but the teacher didn't mind, and basically, the teacher, she was the assistant athletic director. So even though it sounds like a glamorous job of being a teacher's assistant to girls phys ed, basically I sat in a back office of the gymnasium, graded her global studies papers from the morning classes that she had was social studies essentially. So I graded those papers, and then contracts with referees and stuff like that for all the sporting events. Basically, I filled out the forms so that they can get paid. That's basically what my job was. Although I did help with getting the sports supplies out and that kind of thing. Anyways, the 3 hours in the morning, I had electronics, and I was the type of person that would sleep during the first 2 or 3 hours of school. Largely because the internet was still new then, and I was heavily addicted. And I'd stay up all night long doing crap on the internet, on the telnet, and etc. And then come to school almost like I was hungover, although I never drank, so just sleep deprived. And I would kind of sleep in class, and the teacher wasn't too happy about that, but because I kept up with my grades, he allowed it. Grudgingly, but he allowed it. And one of the reasons for that is we, at one point in the class, we had to write a thesis about what is electricity. And most other students, they kind of went by the textbook and like, you know, electricity is the transfer of electrons through a medium, blah 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 blah. And I didn't want to go that way. I was the type of person that didn't want to go with the crowd. I was a bit of a loner, but I didn't want to go with the crowd. I didn't want to give the easy answers. I wanted to give my own little flavor, my own little panache to things. And it set me apart from other students because, you know, teachers are used to the humdrum of what other students will regurgitate, and I actually put thought into things. So basically, the teacher was so impressed with my thesis that he used it to teach everybody else. He basically said, okay, look at Silverblade's paper, read it. It's now going to be required reading for all of you. And I was just like, well, shit, that's cool. And, you know, at the time I was like 18, 19 at that point, and have everybody be having to read your work because the teacher approved of it, like, glowingly. That was pretty cool for me. Get this car. Right, jerk face. There we go. So basically what made my paper different from everybody else's is I did a comparison between electricity and water. They're very, very similar things. Not always, but most of the time they're very similar things. You should never mix the two. But, uh-oh. But yeah, I basically compared electricity with water and explained that they all have a flow to them. Oops. Get back here. I'm gonna beat your ass. Oh, you gonna interfere, aren't you? Whoops. Get back here. Gonna beat that ass. royally. Interloper! You must be punished. God damn. Come here, Boney. Let's heal up a little bit. Big guy is leaving me alone. Well, this guy ain't. There we go. Okay, all is good in the nation of Silverblade. Anyways, as I was saying, water and electricity are a lot, pretty much the same, in essence. One way to look at it is, if you're floating on water, it doesn't matter if it's a river, a lake, or the ocean, you're okay, you're floating. And water is like voltage. If you get hit with a lot of voltage, you might get a little bit fried, but you're not going to die. What kills you isn't the voltage, it's the current. Be like if you're out in the ocean or Lake Michigan, as the example I used in my paper. The water ain't going to kill you so much as the current will. It will suck you down like rip currents or rip tides. They're bad. So in that case, the water is like voltage, and the current or the flow of that voltage or water is like amperage. See how we're doing here. Not too bad. So you don't want to get out in your floaty and get sucked away by the current. That's one way I compared the two. Another thing that I did was compare how a river is like a wire. Let me switch to the pickaxe. Okay, so you have voltage going through it, you have current going through it. Now a river can appear to be still, but it's always flowing. It's always going from the headwaters down to the ocean. I mean, you look at the Mississippi River, and at the headwaters, you have like flood plains, you have streams, you have creeks, you have tributaries that spill into the Mississippi River. And now at the headwaters, you know, the river isn't that big. Okay, so, you know, you have all these little rivers that pour into it on their own. They're not much. But like a step-up transformer that takes the voltage and current and boosts it up, so instead of, let's say, 5 volts, you end up with 12 volts. Instead of 1 milliamp, you have 1 amp. So that's what a step-up transformer does, and that's what, in analogous to a river, specifically like the Mississippi or Nile, the headwaters, the floodplains, the wetlands, the tributaries, all of that are like a step-up transformer. And the opposite of that, a step-down transformer, is like when the Mississippi River flows into Lake Pontchartrain in Louisiana, and then out into the Mississippi Delta, where it dispenses all that water into the ocean. And usually it does it by, like, it's like the Nile flows into the Giza Plateau or the Giza Plains, and it just kind of goes off into these little tributaries from that into the ocean. So that was one comparison I made. Another one is, all right, you're in the river, and you know, you've got all this voltage and stuff, and it's just like an easy ride in a canoe down the river, which means you're riding on voltage, and the current is low. All right, that's nice and peaceful trip down the river, and then you get to a rapids because all that water is being squeezed into an area, is being contained in an area that restricts the wide flow into a narrow flow, and that's kind of like a resistor. A resistor can also be like an island in the middle of the stream. On one side of the island, it's slow moving and calm, but because on the other side of the island it's squeezed in a little bit closer to the shore, current goes a little bit faster. So there's a little bit like a resistor there. Another way of looking at it is like a variable resistor would be like a faucet on your sink. You turn it just a little bit and you get a little trickle of water out. You open it all the way and you get a full jet of water. It's kind of the opposite in a way of a variable resistor, I guess you could say. Another thing to look at is a battery is kind of like a dam or a reservoir. All this voltage, all this water fills up the dam or reservoir, and then when the dam opens up the spillway, it allows the voltage or water to flow through it. And it's got a good storing of water behind it to let it all through. Now, a capacitor is similar to a battery, except that it's like, I guess it'd be more like the water in front of a dam, but one that's really low, so it constantly has to pour water out the spillway to let the water through. Otherwise it would overflow, and that wouldn't be all that great. But yeah, the basics is that water and current are like electricity. And there's a lot more examples to it, and I'll probably remember what it was that I mentioned in my paper, but it was because of this look at those things that got the attention of my teacher and ended up being taught in a class. And as far as I know, it was taught a few years after I left. Shit. Okay. Mary, Shirley, and Larry. Mo and Larry. Okay, I gotta clear out of here a little bit. Get some space. Shit. Double explodey. All right, El Blanco, let's dance. Ta-da. Okay. So that's kind of an explanation for how electricity works. Another way of looking at it is like resistance, like inside a light bulb. At least the old-fashioned ones now, as they're considered incandescent light bulbs. You have voltage going through a thin wire. Usually they're made out of tungsten or some variant of a highly resistant metal, a high resistance metal. Usually tungsten was used. So like in a river, it'd be like kind of like at a dam, except that it lets the water constantly spill over, but it goes through the turbines, so it can power a hydroelectric plant, for instance. Another way of looking at it is old style water mills would be kind of like a resistor, also be kind of like a motor. So as the water in the current pushes the paddles on the wheel, it spins and it does something. Well, with a light bulb, it's kind of the same way. It goes through resistance, and because one of the byproducts of inefficient electricity is heat or light or both, it heats up the filament, glows, you got light. I don't know if this is all making sense to you guys, but since my episode on OR gates, Pam Goodman explained that, you know, she didn't quite understand electricity. I thought I'd provide a primer on how I thought of electricity, at least back in high school. As for gates, like logic gates, one way of looking at them is like the Sioux locks. Oh boy. Beat your ass. Get over here. See, the Sioux locks are a means of getting from Lake Superior into Lake Michigan or Lake Huron. The height of Lake Superior is more than the height of Lakes Michigan and Huron. So water would technically have to be like a waterfall, and ships can't really do so well down waterfalls. So what they did was they put in the Sioux locks in Sault Ste. Marie, and what it does is you have a system of gates that can fit a ship in there, usually like ore freighters and that kind of stuff. And you open up the locks on one side, ship goes in. You close that gate, and you can either raise or lower the water so that the ship is at the water level of either Lake Superior or Lake Huron. And then you open up the gates, and then it can sail away. Beats portaging. And trust me, with it's a ship like the Edmund Fitzgerald, which was a massive ship, sunk like 12 hours after I was born, actually. Thing was chock full of ore, and I don't think you want to carry all that ore from all the way around to the low side. So that's why the Sioux locks are kind of important. But anyways, it goes to my my thinking about logic gates. It kind of determines which way you're gonna go. You know, I could probably demonstrate that a little bit better when I get enough copper to make some gates. I think I'm pretty much done in this area, because this is zombie land over here. Okay, I got a good chunk of copper, and wire. It's amazing me. Tonight must be a good night for me because I'm beating ass and talking at the same time. Not something I'm known to be particularly good at. Anywho, you guys get the idea about comparing water and electricity, and there's a lot more examples of how they're alike, what they can be compared to, and all this. And my teacher really appreciated that point of view enough to share it with other students, help people get a better understanding of what it's like. Don't hit me with that cleaver, bitch. You hit me with that cleaver, you're asking for it. Oh, you son of a... Ooh, damn. Interloper. Ow. Okay. Get away, heal. Hell yeah. Whew. Okay. There's another example of teachers using my work to help them teach. When I was in biology class, like, what was it, my first year? Yeah, it was my first year at Eastern. Of course, we had dissecting animals. And one of the things we had to dissect was a very large grasshopper. This thing was probably about, I don't know, maybe, I know it's bigger than the palm of my hand. I mean, it was an abnormally large grasshopper. And one of the things we had to do was we had a piece of cardboard, you know, just a few inches wide and a few inches long, and we had to take all the parts of the grasshopper we dissected and name all the parts. And most everyone would just, you know, pry open the thorax and have little arrows drawn on it and say, this is this, this is that, and etc. I made mine a little extra. What I did was kind of like an exploded diagram of the grasshopper. I took, you know, the cardboard, the pins. I glued the body parts to the pins and made it look like a exploded diagram of a grasshopper. So the legs were apart from the body, but they're up on legs, so it looked alive. You know, or at least alive if you just kind of boom, blew it apart. Not like an actual explosion, mind you, just separated the parts and then almost, not quite, reattached them. So you had I don't know if you know if you guys all know what an exploded diagram is, but yeah, I made an exploded diagram, listed all the parts, made it look like it was whole again, even though it was dissected. And the teacher really liked that, and said he'd want to keep it for his own collection, and also show it to other classes. And I'm like, cool. Needless to say, I got an A on that one, even though I slept in his class too. Oh shit. Get back here. Oh, come on. Lady. Batter up. Ooh. Okay, gotta heal up a little bit. You're not exploding on me. Anyways, I was too smart for my own good, and a little bit mischievously creative, I guess is the way to put it. And I didn't do a single page of homework in high school. Now, mind you, this is a public school. At least the last 3 years of high school for me was public school. Before that, it was a private school. But didn't do a single page of homework. That's part of why my GPA was low. Well, 2.7, 2.8 I think it was, something like that. But I aced all my tests. I never failed a single test in high school. And then extra credit, that got me through. And then all the mischief I got into, geez. It's a wonder I didn't go to jail for some stuff. Oh, come on. There we go. There we go. How we doing here? Not too bad, not too bad. And we're at the 30-minute mark, or thereabouts. Come on, Spanky. You don't like me. Alright, we'll take care of this, the car, and... You son of a bitch. That's not a way to touch a woman. Bad touch. Okay, oops, didn't want to do that. Wanted to do... Yeah, whatever. Now I can do the map. Right there. Alright, we're going cross country. So I want to get back to the base, and I forgot everything I needed. Splody head. Can never have enough iron or copper. Excuse me. Some more over here, huh? Needless to say, I had a better time at the public school because the people weren't dicks. I learned better at the private school, although socially it was a whole. Didn't exactly have the resources a public school has. I mean, there's only 170 students in the private school, kindergarten through 12th grade. And in the public school, it's like you get shuttled along to graduate. Whether you are actually capable of knowing what you've been taught, that could be a whole other matter, but I'm a sponge of knowledge, so most of the public high school was review for me. Alright, let's just get back to the base. Shesh. Fast track it. Let's get up in there and we'll assume the position and then we'll start the next one. Okay. Yeah. Turbines are all busticated. Well, at least 2 of them. Alright. So thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Professor Silverblade standing in. But anyway, yeah, I'm just kidding. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope maybe you learned something, maybe you thought about things in a little different light than you did previously, and you know, just trying to make knowledge more accessible to more people without being a condescending prick about things, which sometimes that can be a thing for people that are well-intentioned, but just the follow-through, the doing is just, it leaves much to be desired. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Until next time, see you later. Twitch.